The sun poured through the bay windows of my small, tidy living room, warming the worn leather couch and the coffee table stacked with old family photos. It was Father's Day, and I, Richard Bennett, a 62-year-old retired schoolteacher, was waiting for my daughter Emily to arrive. She'd called last week, her voice bright with excitement, promising a special celebration. I'd spent the morning straightening up, a smile tugging at my lips as I pictured her grin, the same one she'd flash as a kid when she'd hand me her wobbly, crayon-scribbled cards. Emily was my only child, my whole world. After her mom died when she was 10, it was just us facing life together. I'd poured everything into her, late nights tutoring to fund her college, skipping trips to pay for her wedding, even selling my beloved Mustang for her house down payment. I never minded. Her happiness was my reward. The doorbell rang, and there she was, Emily, glowing in a sundress. Her husband Mark at her side, and his father Charles looming behind. Charles, a retired investment banker, oozed wealth and arrogance, his tailored suits and smug grin practically shouting it. I'd never liked him, but for Emily I played nice. "Happy Father's Day, Dad." Emily hugged me, her familiar perfume grounding me. Mark gave a firm handshake, while Charles offered a curt nod, his eyes flicking over my modest home like he was pricing it for auction. We settled in, and Emily handed out gifts with a flourish. "For you, Charles," she said, presenting her father-in-law with a sleek velvet box. Inside was a Rolex, its face glinting like a tiny constellation. "It's a $10,000 limited edition," Emily said proudly. "Mark and I chose it just for you." Charles's smirk grew. "Impeccable taste, my dear. A true masterpiece." He slid it onto his wrist, preening like it cemented his status. Then she turned to me, her smile softer. "And for you, Dad." She handed me a small, clumsily wrapped package. I opened it to find a pair of plain navy socks, the kind you'd grab from a discount bin. The price tag dangled, $15. I forced a chuckle, hiding the pang in my chest. "Socks, huh? Always useful. Thanks, sweetheart." "They're merino wool," Emily said, as if that made them special. "Thought you'd like something cozy." I nodded, keeping my smile. Love 'em. But inside I reeled. A $10,000 watch for Charles, who had a collection of luxury timepieces, and $15 socks for me, the father who'd given her everything? The contrast stung, but I swallowed it, not wanting to spoil the day. Dinner passed in a haze, Charles droning on about his watch and his latest golf trip to Dubai. I stayed quiet, picking at my food, the socks sitting beside my plate like a quiet insult. When they left, Emily hugged me tightly. "Love you, Dad. Thanks for always being there." "Always, kiddo," I replied, but as the door shut, the hurt sank in deep. That night, sleep wouldn't come. The socks mocked me from the nightstand, their $15 tag a glaring reminder. It wasn't just the money, it was what it said. Charles, the pompous father-in-law, was worth a fortune. I, the dad who'd raised her, was worth a cheap afterthought. Had Emily forgotten the values I'd taught her, or had Mark and Charles's flashy world swayed her? By morning, the hurt had hardened into resolve. I called Tom, an old friend and retired private investigator who'd spent years sniffing out dirty dealings. Over coffee, I spilled the story, feeling foolish for caring so much about socks. $15? Tom laughed. "That's harsh, Rich, but Charles? Guy's got a reputation. I'd bet his money's not all clean." I leaned forward. "What are you saying?" "Just that his fortune might not be from smart investments alone." "Want me to dig?" "No charge, think of it as my Father's Day gift." I paused, but the sting of those socks pushed me. "Do it." Tom worked fast. Within weeks, he handed me a folder bursting with evidence. Charles's wealth wasn't just from banking. He ran a shady real estate scheme, buying distressed properties through a shell company, inflating their values, and flipping them for huge profits while dodging taxes. Worse, one property was an apartment complex where Emily and Mark's neighbor, Mrs. Larson, lived. Charles had hiked her rent, forcing her out, leaving Emily heartbroken, clueless about his involvement. The folder held bank records, deeds, even emails where Charles gloated about outsmarting the little people. My anger shifted from personal hurt to righteous fury. Charles wasn't just slighting me. He was hurting people, including those Emily cared about. He didn't deserve her admiration, or that Rolex. I wanted revenge, not just exposure. It had to hit him where it hurt, his pride. And I wanted Emily to see his true colors. I crafted a plan with the precision I'd once used to manage rowdy classrooms. First, I sowed doubt. At our next family dinner, I mentioned Mrs. Larson's eviction casually, watching Charles. His smirk flickered, but he pivoted to bragging about his new yacht. Emily, though, looked uneasy. Next, I reached out to a former student, now a journalist at the local paper, and anonymously tipped her off with Tom's documents. She was eager, promising a story that would rattle cages. The final piece was Charles's 65th birthday party, a lavish affair Emily was planning at his country club. I volunteered to help, insisting on handling the special tribute for Charles. Emily, delighted by my enthusiasm, agreed. The party night was a spectacle. Chandeliers sparkling, champagne flowing, Charles holding court in a custom suit, his Rolex catching every light. Emily glowed with pride. I stayed in the shadows, a quiet smile on my face. That morning, the journalist's expose had dropped, "Local financier tied to predatory real estate scheme." Guests murmured, phones buzzing with the news. Charles, unaware at first, brushed off the whispers as envy. Then came my moment. I took the stage, holding a wrapped box. "Tonight we honor Charles," I said. "But first, a gift from me for his remarkable legacy." I handed him the box. He opened it, expecting another status symbol. Instead, he pulled out a pair of $15 socks identical to mine. The crowd tittered, confused. Charles's face flushed. "Richard, what's this?" he stammered, forcing a grin. "A reminder," I said, my voice calm but sharp. "Value isn't in what you own, it's in how you treat people. Like Mrs. Larson, who lost her home because of your schemes." The room froze. Emily's eyes widened, flicking to Charles. I pressed on. "Emily gave you a $10,000 watch because she thought you deserved it. But do you, Charles? Or do these socks suit you better? Cheap, careless, like your actions?" The journalist snapped photos as Charles fumbled for words. Guests whispered, the article spreading like wildfire. Emily cornered me later, tears in her eyes. "Dad, is it true?" "About Mrs. Larson?" I nodded. "I didn't want to hurt you, sweetheart, but you needed the truth." Charles's empire unraveled as investigations followed the expose. Emily pulled away from him, channeling her energy into helping Mrs. Larson find a new home. She apologized, not for the socks, but for losing sight of what mattered. "You've always shown me what family means, Dad," she said, hugging me. I smiled, the pain of Father's Day fading. "Just keep being you, kiddo." I wore those socks with pride, a symbol of my quiet triumph. Charles could keep his Rolex, but I'd won back something priceless, my daughter's respect.